Hello everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar, What's New in AGR version 6. My name is Sigrún, and I am the Head of Development here at AGR Dynamics. We in the development team have been hard at work in updating our AGR software. If we take a little walk down memory lane, this is the first screenshot I have from the early days of the AGR system. Though when I first started at the company, our customers were using AGR4. This was a client-server-based software installed locally on every user's desktop. Shortly after I joined the team, we introduced AGR5, the first web-based version which we built on the AngularJS framework. This then brings us to our newest big release, the topic of today, AGR version 6. It was time to upgrade the Angular framework since we always strive to keep up with the latest technology developments, and this meant rewriting the whole user interface. We took that opportunity to take a look at all the valuable feedback we have been getting from you, our customers, and incorporated them into the release when possible. In addition, the new framework makes the new version much snappier and more responsive, especially for those of you that have big amounts of data to deal with in your supply chain. Improving the user experience was one of the main focus points during this rewrite, so this version is jam-packed with many big and small new functionalities and improvements. But before we go into the system, I'd like to introduce you to the team that stands behind it all. This is a group of highly talented and motivated people with a wide range of expertise, ranging from designing the user experience to developing complex algorithms to help you make decisions in your supply chain. Just a reminder that if you have any questions during my presentation, feel free to send them to us via the Q&A sidebar to the right of the live event window. Our AGR team members are on standby and ready to answer any questions you might have. But let's dive in and log into the system. In this new version, the first thing to mention is the new modular navigation. In line with our planning, assortment, and inventory product offerings, we have reorganized the system to easily switch between what module you're looking at. If you have, for example, both the location financial planner, which we presented in our webinar last week, and the inventory suite, you can toggle between the green planning navigation bar and the blue inventory navigation bar. And by the way, if you missed our webinar on the location financial planner, you can find a link of it here in the Q&A bar to check out. But in this drop-down, you can choose between planning, assortment, or inventory. If you would like more information on any of our product offerings, be sure to check out our website, agrdynamics.com. Keeping our eyes still on the navigation bar, you can see that we have updated what used to be the old locations feature into what is now known as items. Here you now have all the flexibility of our reporting tool, and the feature is no longer fixed to look at only one location at a time. Now you can look up items without having to first save it as a report, giving you much better ad hoc capabilities. You have the new View Settings sidebar where you can select columns or add filters just like you do within a report. Here you can play around with different items and group things together, but also create an order proposal or save the items as a report if you want to look at them later. Let's do that. Now I have moved into the reports part of the system, probably the most used feature we have, and I can see I'm working with the exact same user interface. The new View Settings sidebar within the report details makes it much simpler to build up and edit the report without having to save the report to view the results. The new sync button that is now in all grids across the system can be configured for each customer to only pop up when the number of items is above a certain configurable threshold, which can significantly improve performance. We've also added the cancel query button in all grids so that you can cancel a request if you have started them accidentally. Now, if you want to create an order directly from your report, then we have brought back the checkboxes to select the items to order which many users were missing in the few previous versions. But one of the biggest updates that users familiar with version 5 will notice in this new version are the updates to the item card, many of which were added after the valuable feedback we get from all of you. First thing to mention is that now you can view the item card on a separate screen. If I was at my workstation, I could drag this popped out item card into my other monitor, but for now, I'll just pop it out and drag it out over here. Now what I can even do is that I can open item card up again and pop it out again and have multiple item cards open at the same time. I can either be looking at the same item and viewing the chart in one window and then maybe the details tab in one window. And while I scroll through my items, I get an updated information and I can have everything in front of me without having to go back and forth. But what I can also do is that I can have the chart in both windows and I can lock one of the item cards. So I can lock this item and then when I go find another item within my report, only this chart is updated so I can use it to compare different items. Now I'm closing the item cards here and moving back to my main window. But what you can also see is that we have added valuable helping lines to help the user that looks at the item card a big part of their day to easily find what they are looking for. So when you switch between period types, the lines are automatically adjusted. And this is something we had feedback on from version 5. Now you can also see that we have updated the details tab quite a bit. We've gotten rid of the separate item setting pop-out window, so you can directly edit any item settings here in the details tab. And also, if I change this value, you have a good indication that the value has changed, and then you can always delete the changed value to see the default value, and you are reverted to the default value. You can also see we have better info here on undelivered orders, giving you information about what orders are outstanding, and you also get information about the status of the order. Here you have this can be now found all over the system, pro tips about the system, so you can see that orders that are in the past are labeled yellow or red, whether depending on if they are included in order proposals. So if I go back to the chart part, which users probably spend most of their time looking at, because graphical data is much easier to analyze and understand than numbers and grids. You can also open up the details tab directly here as a sidebar. So here you can see the same things as you can in the details part of the item card, and you can even select which columns are important to you. So maybe I don't need any of these columns, but it's important that I see the stock value and undelivered right on top. So this is something each user can configure and the settings are stored in the browser. Now another thing to mention is that now you have the ability to view product images when you are looking at the item card. So you don't have to remember that this item is called medium FG to find it, but you can easily see what you're looking at. We think this is very important since many of you are already putting significant effort into storing your images for your website or for your online store. So if you are storing it somewhere where we can navigate to the direct item, then it can be easily configured to show up in the AGR system as well. I was showing this version to one of our customers a couple of months ago, and I was showing them all these features and I was surprised to hear what they were most excited about. It was a very small thing. It was the fact that now we show the name of the location as well as the name of the item when you're viewing the item card. And they were very excited to see that. And this shows, we had that feedback from one of you before. So it shows how much this is something we that don't use the system don't notice. But the feedback we get from you really makes the difference because the devil is in the detail. And here you can also decide if you look at the item number or the item name. But let's move on. Now moving into the planning part of the system, we have added a few new features here, all with the purpose of improving the user experience. If I open up the Connected Items workspace, which many of you are using to build up the sales history for new items, we improved the usability significantly by making the item selection searchable through a lookup and adding a date picker to the editable date fields in the grid. Even though I'm showing this through the connecting items process, these features are configurable by your consultants so they can be utilized in any custom-made workspaces you might have. The purchase plan viewer has also been moved into the plans list, giving you all the functionalities of the planning engine when viewing purchase plans. You can easily group on different period levels, filters the data like you want it, and of course export the purchase plan to Excel to share with your vendor. This was a feature many of you had been asking for, and we are very happy to be able to deliver with this release. And while we are here, it's also worthwhile mentioning this new addition to our lookup filters. You can see we have also added a new improved way to filter on many items at a time. I can simply copy a list of item numbers from other parts of the system or Excel and paste here into the text input of the lookup filter. Then the list is selected into the lookup filter automatically, and there is no need to input each item individually. Within the newly added info button in the navigation bar, we have made it easier for our customers to get help with the AGR setup. The About AGR button will show you everything about your current version of AGR. The Service Desk option will take you directly to the AGR Service Desk to make it easier to be in contact with our consultants if you need help or are having a problem with something in your system. Here you can also send us development ideas, which I encourage you to do. Finally, the user manual button will take you to our new and improved user manual. Here you can use the search bar on the site to look for information on a topic that you would like more information on. For example, let's say we would like a better explanation of how the system determines my safety stock. I can start typing in safety stock, and then I will see a drop-down menu of all the places within the user guide that mention safety stock. This user guide is more responsive than our older PDF versions and easier to navigate. It's also easier to share a specific topic with your coworkers. But to wrap up, like you see, we have covered a lot here today. But one more thing I would like to mention is that this version supports single sign-on through D365 authentication, which can really help with managing your IT systems. I encourage you to start to plan your upgrade, but all AGR customers are paying maintenance fees and own this version as part of their agreement. When designing this version, we put a big focus on making the upgrade path smooth, and therefore version 6.0 and 5.4.1 can run on the same database. This means there is no need to redo any data mapping to move to this version. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. Feel free to email your consultant or create a ticket in our service desk by emailing servicedesk@agrdynamics.com for more information on upgrading AGR to version 6 for your company. Our next webinar will be held in 2 weeks and is all about getting your company back in the game following COVID-19. The link for more information on this webinar and to register has been posted in the Q&A sidebar. Otherwise, we will leave this event open for the next 10 minutes in case you have any further questions that you want to ask. Thank you.